everybody, welcome to Tree Doctors. We're coming to you from Wynne, Arkansas today. We're going to take a look at some beautiful trees and some flowers, and Ed's going to give you some tips on how to take care of your trees. It's all coming up right after these messages on Tree Doctors.
The tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service can inject a zap back in your tree's sap. Research has showed that ice-damaged trees are stressed, and stressed trees lead to insect and disease attacks. Micro tree injection is the answer for your trees. Micro tree injection is a closed system, delivering the exact dose of systemic chemical directly to the sap stream of the tree. Once the problem is identified, the tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service can inject vitamins, minerals, or insecticide directly into the sap stream of your trees. This bypasses the roots and provides immediate results. Micro tree injection has been university tested and field proven for over 35 years. After the tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service treat your trees, you receive a written 1-year guarantee. We won't treat a tree we don't think we can help. Let the tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service put the zap back in your tree's sap.
Daddy phoned to tell us that old tree might have to come down. The one I had the tree house in and chased my wife around. He said a neighbor showed him where it was busting at the trunk. And if the snow got heavy, it could crack down to the stump. We got to save our family tree. It's such a big part of our history. What a nostalgic sight to see. We got to save our family tree. Grandpa said they planted it when he was just 8 years old. His mama kept the clods broke up while his daddy dug the hole. I phoned up a friend of mine that lives in our hometown. He said he knew a tree doctor didn't like to cut trees down. The man went out and checked our tree and bolted it back together. He said it would last a lifetime, no matter what the weather. We got to save our family tree. It's such a big part of our history. What a nostalgic sight to see. We got to save our family tree. Yes, we got to save our family tree.
I've spent just about my whole life working on trees and learning about them, but I am constantly amazed sometimes, like this tree behind me, how it's put down over the years, put down an extra root for support. It's actually growing out over this cliff that's here, and it's a big size tree. It's about a 33-inch diameter tree, needless to say quite heavy, and it's put down an extra support root, and it's putting another one down there. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is trees, given time, will correct themselves. If you've got other problems that needs to be corrected. The insects haven't got to this. The tree is just trying to survive. It's been took care of over the years, and it's taking care of itself. So give them a little help. They'll respond. I'm back here with the Dooleys, Joe and Martha Dooley, and it's been a few weeks, Joe, since when we was here, and everything was dormant at that time. It looks a little different now, doesn't it?
It sure does, Ed. It looks really good. These trees have had some rain on them, and as you know, you've treated the trees, and they've just leafed out beautifully. This is a real old sugar maple, and we had some disease problems with it, and you treated it, and you can see by the leafing out how beautiful it is.
Right, I tell people trees will show them when they're sick, and they'll show them when they're well too, and that's true, isn't it?
That's true. That the tree was talking to us. It looked bad, and you came in and injected it, and it really looks good. And it's at the corner of our property, and it's leafed out really pretty.
Right, it's the largest sugar maple that I've ever dealt with. Joe's got two of them here. And Joe and his wife had me soil inject all the trees here in the yard. Can you tell the difference, Miss Dooley?
Oh, yes. Our trees are just beautiful. We get a lot of compliments from our neighbors and passerbys saying how full the trees look.
Right, it makes a difference, and I'm just tickled that y'all let me talk about them, and it's kind of cool on the show that we can show what we were here doing back when they were dormant, and here a few weeks later, it just the quick results.
The results really look good. We're very pleased.
Well, thank you both.
Thank you, Ed.
Here we got another almost 100-year-old oak tree that's biting the dust. They trimmed it, and it's dying. It's going to have to be taken down. They'd called me about treating it. Now, if this tree was treated and not topped here a couple of years ago, there's a real good possibility it could have held on. But they went in and, for the quick fix, rounded the tree over. That's another reason I don't agree with the topping. If you do trim on a tree, lateral prune it, cut it back to a branch to replace and lower the size of the tree. Don't just go in and what we call shear it or top it. Don't agree with that at all. But you can see here, this is a 100-year-old oak tree. It's going to have to be taken down. And what has happened is that white you can see on the branches, that's the fungus that set in. And, you know, it would be foolish to even try to attempt to save this tree. So they're going to lose a great old tree. So remember that. Try not to top if you can keep from it. And if your tree's got a problem, holler at us. We can treat it for you. We're here in Wynn at the home of Murray and Ken Johnson. And here with me is Stephen Pugh. And Stephen, tell me a little bit about what's got going on here with all your building and stuff with the wall and the trees.
Well, 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were contacted from Ken, and he wanted us to come in and do a rock retaining wall for him, do a landscape project for him. And as you can see, we're building this rock wall. We've had to take an excavator and dig out part of the hillside here, and in doing so, we kind of got into a little bit of tree roots over here from this big oak. We're putting drainage back behind the wall and everything, and we're just a little bit concerned about this tree over here.
Right, he had called me, and he had me treat this tree, and I told Stephen that after we treat it, the roots from this tree is going to come back with a vengeance because of the product we shoot in there. And I told Stephen to put a piece of metal, corrugated roofing, which is tin, down below the wall so where nobody can see it, and those roots will turn. And I think y'all plan to do that, don't you, Stephen?
Yeah, we sure do. Right now we've got our drain tile in there, and we're putting our gravel in, and I think tomorrow we're going to come back and put that piece of tin in there and do like you suggested there, to try to keep it from growing into our wall. And you know, maybe 5-10 years from now we won't have any cracks in it because of that.
That's exactly right. The researchers showed that it'll hit that solid barrier of that tin wall and turn and go along it, and that will make this wall for many, many years to come. It'll be a good one. Tell us about what's going to happen right here.
Well, we've got a set of steps going up into this backyard area. All this grass is going to be taken up. This is all going to be garden back here in the back. naturally she had to have a place to be able to enter into the garden, so we've got these steps going in. We're going to come back in and build an arbor back over the top of this to cover this patio area up. And we've got a crew here, a few Hispanic guys that do real good rock work. They've been with South Lawn Nursery and Sarton Services here probably going on 8 or 9 years. And they're just real conscientious about their job and do real beautiful work.
Oh, they do. It's coming together good. And there's another tree at the far end of this. It's an oak tree that I had to treat also. In fact, Mr. Johnson had me treat all the trees in the yard, but I treated that one because we cut a few roots there too. And we appreciate you, Stephen, taking a minute talking to us.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed it.
I'm here in Wynn at home of Kim Johnson. He's here with me. And I want to ask you what made you to call me in about the work you had going on here?
Well, we had a cross tie retaining wall, and we decided eventually you have to replace cross ties, and we were looking for something a little bit more natural. And my wife wanted more a stone wall and everything. As you can see, they it looks like it's dry laid on that, and doing that, we had to cut and clear it out and lay the French drain behind it. We damaged probably some roots of some of these trees, especially that far one over there where the hummingbird feeder is. And my big concern was that when I called you, could we save these trees, or was I going to have to cut them down? And of course, in talking to you, you said we could save them. That you talked with Steve, the landscaper, and came up with a way to do that. And then they're also going to fertilize them and feed them and treat them and check them for borers also. So that's the main reason I got down here. And then as you can see with our lot, we do have a lot of trees out here and want to maintain them. Right. Because they're just great during the summertime. And so had to check everything to be sure that, because we lost 2 or 3 during the ice storm 3 years ago, and I want to be sure we can keep as many of these around as we can.
Right. I talked to Steve, and he's going to put a piece of tin to keep those roots from pushing your new wall out. And the way you're lined up here on this hill, Mr. Johnson, you're right behind Jeff Sisk, and Jeff and Donna Sisk, and I do their trees too. And Jeff had me do, or I should say, Kim had me do all the trees here in the yard while I was here. Yeah, but like I told you, that this tree here should do well as the other one, because we caught it quick enough before it got stressed. And I think you're going to have your landscaper do a little bit more back here too, aren't you?
Yes, sir. We're going to go, since they went ahead and messed up the grass back there, I decided instead of laying the sod, I might as well go ahead and spend some more money and just put a reduced cutting. Right. And just we're going to basically have the whole back here in flower beds with just a little strip grass walkway with some stepping stones in it, the way it looks right now. So I think that's what Steve's doing, is figuring where to put the plants, and if we need any additionals, we're going to probably thin out some of these flower beds over here because they've gotten overgrown, and transplant some of those, and then
save what you can and add some.
Add some, because he's dug up some azaleas here in some spots, and we're trying to reuse everything we can here to hate to have a plant die on me, especially these azaleas. Oh yeah. And they do well under these trees here, so.
Sure do. And if you don't mind, I'd like to come back here in a few weeks after he's all done, and we took a shot of the work going on today, and we'll shoot a finished version of it, if you don't mind.
That'd be more welcome. Come on back, and I'll help you. You can help me weed.
I don't know about that, but we'll see you later. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You know, I have a lot of people ask me about the defects in a tree, like this hole in this root system right here. It's not hurting anything, but the water pools in it periodically when it rains, and it's just a little defect. And trees are kind of like people. They've all got defects. We do too. And but in this case here, where in this root system with this little cutout and with a hole in it, it doesn't hurt a thing. It doesn't need to be filled. It's unless it holds water to a point that the water sires on you and causes mosquitoes, I wouldn't worry about it a bit. If it gets to that way and it does bother you, you could easily put some filler in there, some cement, and so water would run off. You won't have to hack the root system or drill a hole to let the water run off, be better to put a filling agent in it. And you could actually do it with dirt. Wouldn't hurt a thing to just put just a little bit of dirt in there. But I personally don't think it hurts anything. I think it gives the tree a little character. This old tree's been here a long time, and a little bit of care that we're giving, it's going to be here a lot longer. But don't worry about these minute defects you see in your trees, and they need these support roots that's coming out from them if you can keep from hurting them. And you can bring the dirt up about 1 inch every 6 months, so you eventually cover this. But don't try to cover a root all at once. That dirt will smother out the roots, and you'll do more damage than you do good. So a gradual fill is much better than a fill all at once. So that's a little bit about tips on how to handle defects of your tree.
We'll be back with more from Wynne, Arkansas on Tree Doctors right after these messages.
Hello, I'm Ed Dickey, the tree doctor at Dickey Tree Service. I'm coming to you from inside of a tree. We've been getting inside of trees for 35 years. We get to the root of the problem. Give us a call. We know how to save your trees. We put the chemical where it needs to be, inside your tree, taking care of insect and disease problems. We're often imitated, but never duplicated. We've been doing this 35 years. We know what we're doing. Give us a call. We're the tree doctors, Dickey Tree Service. It's not hard to see what killed these trees. It was boreworms. The borer is a hard insect to control, virtually untouched with spraying and other applications. But with systemic injection, when the borer eats the tree, the borer dies. Trees are dying all over, but we've got the cure. We give a 1-year guarantee when we treat your trees for the borers. We've been doing this 35 years and we know what we're doing. Give us a call. We're the tree doctors, Dickey Tree Service, in your yellow pages under trees. It's time now for mailbag. That's when we talk about some of the questions that y'all sent us through the computer or we got through the mail. This one here is from Vernon in Batesville. Why should I use your company or one of your tree doctors to treat my trees when there's others that claim to do what you do? That's a good question, Vernon. The problem is the people who claim to do what we do, that's what they do. They just claim to do what we do. A lot of our products we used are protected with under the patent and trademark laws. We own the actual rights to them, and no other company can use those. They were developed by us. Some of them goes back to in the early 80s, the products that's being used in your trees. Also, you will find that we stay abreast with modern changing technology. And some of the ones that claim to do what we do, if you'll research what they're doing stuff that we quit doing several years ago. And there's a reason for that. There's a better way. And as better ways come to be, we use those better ways. So it's kind of like the old saying, you kind of get what you pay for. But in another aspect of that, our technology has got so good that we offer a 1-year guarantee when we treat the trees. Nobody, as far as I know, offers any kind of guarantee after treating your trees. We get 2 years worth of residual when we treat your trees out of killing the insect and stuff. That's why we can offer a 1-year guarantee. One of these days we'll probably be able to offer a 2-year guarantee as technology lets us. So the patented and trademark products that we use in what we do and the staying abreast of the technology is what gets you more bang for the buck. And also now, and we just started doing this here of late, we can actually treat every tree in your yard cheaper than we could do 2 or 3 trees a few years ago. So as opposed to going up, the prices have came down. And as the technology gets better, we can pass that savings right on to the customer. And I don't think you'll see that out of those other companies that claim that. This one's from Scott in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. I have a large tree in my front yard that continues to shed limbs, and they each have hard balls that I can't identify. Do you have any idea what the problem might be? What you're talking about, Scott, is probably gouty oak gall. It's caused by a little wasp that stings the branches, and it actually injects a growth inhibitor, and it grows around it, and it makes a kind of a hard ball, and it's actually a gall that it causes, and some of them's the size of walnuts. Some of them can get as big as, I've seen some down in Memphis, it's big as apples. So you've got an insect problem there. If you look a little harder, you'll probably see that there are other insects there. You probably need to have us take a look at that because it's going to take some specialty work to handle that. This is from Sally from Jonesboro, Arkansas. I planted a line of small trees that I got from a nursery, and they was dry root. There's 12 of them. Is there anything I can put on them to help them survive? I would benefit from knowing this. All right, Sally. This is brand new technology. Most people aren't even aware of it yet, and the only way I'm aware of it is because I'm affiliated with the ISA. It's a worldwide organization of tree people, and grants and research is done all the time on our trees. And what just came down the pike is if you take 2 tablespoons of sugar and put it in about a gallon of water and pour it around each one of those trees, you're going to increase their survival rate by at least 50%. That's ordinary cane sugar, the granule kind that you get at the grocery store. Let it dissolve in the water, pour it around those trees, then water them like you normally would. You're going to increase their success of those trees living, the survival rate, by 50%. And that's proven. The research is here, and it just got in. It's funny that you asked that now, because I just learned of this. Give it a try. You'll be glad you did. Remember, you heard it here first on the Tree Doctor. You're going to start seeing a mailbag on our program every week now. We did a survey, and we found out a lot of people want their questions answered that way. And in case your question don't get answered during the mailbag segment, you can go to dickeytree.com and email us there, or you can just send it by mail to the Tree Doctors at Post Office Box 790, Jonesboro, Arkansas, 72401.
Let's go back in the field and see whose trees Ed Dickey's treating here in Wynn right now on Tree Doctors.
You know, people handle trees falling over in different ways. These people here had this smaller tree over to my right had fell over during the ice storm, and they had put a cord on it, nylon rope, and wrapped it several times around this nice magnolia. That was 3 years ago. You can see how it's already choked out the tree to the point of almost killing this tree. And I had the people let me put an eye hook in it, and we tied that tree off with another rope. This old rope that's in there needs to be cut at different spots down through here. And don't try to get the whole thing out, but you do need to sever it. Take a chisel and tap it and cut that with a hammer and chisel at 2 or 3 different spots down there about every 6 inches. Then that will take the girdering effect off of it where it's choking this tree out. And that's wherever you can see the nylon rope sticking out. But this tree's going to have trouble for a good while because they just forgot it. The people here said they just forgot about wrapping it in there, and until I noticed it while I was here treating another tree that they wouldn't have noticed then. So kind of look around your yard and see if you got something like that going on. Correct it before it gets as bad as this. I'm here in Wynn at the home of Jim Shaver, and Jim, you had me treat these trees here, and you were the state representative here for a good while, wasn't you?
Yeah, for quite a while.
How long was you state representative?
Well, I was there, I started in 1955 and was there for about 40 years.
40 years.
A long time. Probably too long.
No, I wouldn't say that. But you got to know the people in Little Rock quite well, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, sure did during that time.
What would you want to be remembered for most for what you did for?
Well, the best thing I think I did down there was trying to take care of my people back here. The constituents had sent me down there. If they had a problem with the state government, I knew I was there long enough to where I knew where to go and try to help them, and if I could help them, I did.
Yes, sir. I bet during your tenure you was got to see a lot of bills, important bills passed, didn't you?
No doubt about that.
Which one comes to mind that you're so proud of being involved with?
Well, there were so many of them, it's hard to pick out just one. From a legal standpoint, I'm a lawyer, retired lawyer. We had a bill down there that had, I believe it had 19,000 pages in it, which was recodifying the law in Arkansas. That was a few years ago. That was not much interest to the general public, but it was to the lawyers.
I bet it was 19,000 pages.
That's the longest bill that was ever passed in the legislature, and I guided it through the session.
I'll be doggone.
But we did a lot of things. The highway department, the people interested in roads and schools, and we had numerous bills concerning education and the highway department and building roads and things of that nature. So it's just hard to single out any one thing.
Yes, sir. Well, the environment, you sided with that a few times. I look back at some of your record, some of the bills, and you was instrumental in some of that, wasn't you?
Oh yeah, I had a sister who was real active in environmentalist, and of course I had to support those.
Yes, sir. Well, we got to have our trees and our environmental stuff.
Right.
And that's what I'm here doing at Jim's house. I'm treating his oak trees. He's got 9 oaks and 1 great big pine. He's got one of the trees that's kind of weak there. And you sure want to save that tree, don't you, Jim?
Oh yeah.
It's been here a good while, hasn't it?
Probably over 40, 50 years, I imagine.
How long have you lived here?
Well, I haven't lived here too long. I lived across the street over here, and I gave that house to my daughter, and I moved in her house here. So this house was built in the mid-60s, early 1960s, so it's about 45 years old. This was all a big cotton field back then.
Yes, sir. I was judging these trees to be about 50 years old.
That's about right.
Yes, sir. Well, we're going to make them last a whole lot more than another 50. I appreciate you talking to us about your trees.
Glad to do it.
All right, and all right.
You did a good job.
Thank you, sir. The closer you get back to nature, the better you really feel. And this yard behind me is, they're not real heavy on chemicals. That's not to say that they don't use some, because in life now you almost have to, or you get eaten up with mosquitoes and other bugs, but they keep it at a minimum, and they enjoy a very natural yard. And the animals like it, the birds like it, and I know you'll like it. So when you see your trees and your plants, just remember, don't overdo it with the chemicals, and let Mother Nature have her way when you can. You'll be glad you did.
That's all the time we have today for Tree Doctors. For Ed Dickey, I'm John Passmore, saying thank you for joining us, and if you need to get in touch with Ed, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is go to dickeytree.com. You can email him from there or call the number below. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Tree Doctors.